Hey, have you guys had a chance to check out the organic super greens yet from Paleo Valley? This is a really cool greens powder because not only does it have 23 powerful organic antioxidant rich superfoods in it, ones that you can actually utilize and absorb, but what sets them apart is they don't use any cereal grasses in their powder, right? And those are the ones that have been linked to inflammation and gut issues. So most greens powders or superfood products that you're going to get are comprised primarily of cereal grasses like barley, oat, wheatgrass, and then just a little light dusting of other superfoods. And cereal grasses are nearly impossible for the human digestive system to break down properly. They're best left eaten by ruminant animals such as cows, which have four stomachs designed to digest these grasses. Cereal grasses also contain a lectin called wheat germ agglutinin, which is highly inflammatory and has been found to interfere with proper insulin signaling, vitamin D absorption, and it's implicated in the development of autoimmune disease, right? So be aware of what's in your greens powders. These ones are amazing. I am a super fan, and they come in delicious strawberry lemonade with mint and have these unique flavors unlike others out on the market. It's a really easy way to cover your nutritional bases, right? So most of us are not doing that. We're not eating enough vegetables, even if we think we are. So make sure you cover your bases, support your gut health, boost your energy, fight inflammation, enhance your ability to detox, and just do 1 to 2 servings of these a day. You can get 15% off with code KICKASSLIFE. So visit paleovalley.com, enter KICKASSLIFE checkout, and get 15% off. And yeah, I hope you enjoy all of Paleo Valley's offerings. They are absolutely amazing. But these super greens have just totally blown me away. So go check them out. Hey guys, I want to tell you about one of my favorite new companies, and that is Rep Provisions. So I met these guys at Paleo FX last year where they were just blowing everyone away with their beef sticks and pecan nut butter combo packs that are outrageously delicious. But as I talked to them, I was even more blown away because I found out what they were about. They are a regenerative agriculture company committed to the future of the planet by the proper management of cattle. So they are regenerating America's grasslands with the management of their cattle. Look into it. It's amazing. They have everything from, of course, high quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef to Mongolisa pork, which is like the Wagyu of pork, to bone broth popsicles, pecan nut butters, like I said, and so many amazing things. Go support them and support the future of our planet. And they're giving you 15% off for being a Kick-Ass Life podcast listener. So use coupon code KICKASSLIFE and get 15% off at repprovisions.com.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a minute here at the top of the show to chat with you about some of our sponsors who are offering incredible discounts for you and your family. We also only align ourselves with companies that we know are providing safe and healthy products, and also products that we actually consume on a regular, if not sometimes daily basis. And one of those companies is Primal Kitchen. Primal Kitchen products are incredible because they are dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free with no refined sugar. And they are delicious. So visit primalkitchen.com to check out the vast array of products available and use code KICKASSLIFE for 10% off. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kick-Ass Life podcast. Today we're going to talk about to each their own. And what do I mean by that? I'll give an example. Many years ago, I was driving through Maui with a friend of mine that loves nature, loves all of the things that an island like Maui would provide, the hiking, the outdoor stuff. And we were driving in the Jeep talking, and she had mentioned that a mutual friend of ours had gone to Maui on their honeymoon, and all they did was go from the hotel to the next door restaurant and back. Like, they didn't do anything else. They didn't see all of the things that I know are so beautiful about Maui. And she was in a space of really judging them on it. Like, I can't believe that's what a wasted trip to Maui. And, we were kind of in this little bit of a maybe gossipy moment there. And I realized what a negative, bad vibe situation that was. And I said, you know what, hold on a second. We have to just stop this right now. Because the truth is that that's their idea of a vacation. That's their idea. You and I, absolutely not, And I'll tell another story later, but I think we're always going to have preferences or some judgments about what other people are doing with their life. But I think the moment it happens and we start to get into it, it starts to really get it. It makes you feel yucky and negative because you're in that judgy, gossipy place. It's a bad vibe. And when you recognize it, I think it's important, right? To, you know, it's just sort of like I wrote in Confident as Fuck. I have a thing against like road cyclists. Like for years, I'd be like, oh, fuck these people. Like they're so rude. Driving on the mountain road. Like, oh, what a dumb sport. I hate it because I hate cycling myself. Just personally, I don't like it. And I would judge it so much. But every time a cyclist went by, now my vibe is thrown out of whack. And here I am, what, just judging their sport? Like, and it ruined my day because I see someone doing something. And so I turned it around. I was like, hold on, they're probably cycling by the beach, seeing me on my stand-up paddleboard and going, she's a dumbass out there with sharks. What an idiot. We're all judged, right? And so I just now was like, you know what? They're outside, they're enjoying their thing. It may not be for you, you know, and sometimes I get triggered when there's 20 of them on a mountain road and there's nowhere for me to go. And I just go, you know what? You're not in a rush. Just give it a minute. We all judge what other people are doing with their lives, but it's about when it happens and how to turn it around and maybe how to do less of it or get to that quicker, you know?
Yeah, there's no way that all of us don't do this sometimes, you know? And so I really loved when you suggested this topic because it brought that awareness to me. I was like, huh, okay. And so I was started, you know, deep thinking about it more deeply. And I was like, I think a healthier space to be is just when you have that thing. Cause when you told your story about Maui, I'm like, yeah, that's the same place I went. Is like, why would you do it? Okay. But instead of like, going into this anger or frustration or judgment and all the gossip and all that, instead I was like, a healthier space to be is just noticing, huh, it's an alert to your own preferences, right? It's just noticing a little bit deeper, like that's not what I would do. So okay, so what is more important to me? It's important to me to go see all the cool places when I travel. End of story. Now you're in a good place. It's like, oh, I noticed that about myself, right? And it reminds me of the three businesses that Byron Katie talks about. So she talks about God's business, other people's business, and your business. And anytime you're outside of your business, you're going to be miserable. You're going to suffer. So your business is your preferences, your choices, your actions, your thoughts, everything that you actually can control. And when we get into other people's business, that's when it gets miserable because you have no control. It's not your business. So when we sit there and we're like, why do they have to be like that? Why do they have to talk like that? Blah, 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 blah. What happens? All of a sudden we go into chaos, judgment, anger, frustration, victimhood, you know, the list goes on. And then God's business would be like coronavirus or, you know, something the Catherine Dixon always says the way the planets spin. She's like, I think God does a pretty good job of that, you know? So when we try to want to control something we can't, that's when we become miserable. So I love this topic because it brings it back into ourselves. But let's dig a little deeper into like why we do this.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, you know, I think again, it's true. It's a commonality. Like, well, I would never do it that way. That seems dumb.
Right.
Therefore, it's dumb. So again, that's very selfish. But
I,
also, I've heard people judge other people's palates. I mean, like their
oh,
taste.
yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so we had a friend. It was actually that same couple that flew the Maui vacation, and I don't know, we had like some herb salad that had like herbs in it. It's like an herb mix you can get anywhere. It's got some dill or whatever. And he was just like so repulsed by it years ago. But then like for 5-10 years, my friend kept kind of like making fun of him to me,
Mm,
bringing it up, being like, couldn't
mm,
even handle like the herbs. It's like, yeah, everyone's
mm,
palate's different. Some people eat Philly cheesesteaks every fucking day. Who cares? Like, you know, some people don't like this person who's judging him doesn't like mustard. I think mustard's amazing. So like, what am I going to be like? I'm looking down upon them because they don't have as what a wide gourmet oh my god, it's down even to that level. And then I think I told you the story and I knew you were right in line with me on this, but I went to the Cannes Film Festival in the south of France many years ago. I was invited by a producer and she was like, hey, staying in a huge like villa with a bunch of interesting people in the film industry, you'll get to go to all of the like exclusive multi-million-dollar yacht parties and film parties. Do you want to come? I was like, hell yeah. I get to the south of France and every day everyone in the house went to go watch the films. And I was like, I don't give a shit about seeing a film right now. I'm not going to be in the south of France where I've never been and go sit in a movie theater all day. I just don't even care. I care about the parties that
mhm,
were going to be fun. And I water skied on the Mediterranean while they were all in the movie theater. I
mhm.
like hung out with locals. I had my day. And then I went to these amazing parties at night. And one of these assholes that was staying with us, this guy, he was a total dick. He was a very pompous, like elitist film snob type, I guess you would say. And he like angrily called me on it. Like, how dumb to come to this festival and you didn't even see a film. Like, what are you doing all day? Like, totally judging the fact, again, no different than the judging on the person in Maui, but judging like, why would you come all the way here and not even see a film? And you're in the film industry. How stupid. You're in the film. I mean, again, all of these different like rules of what I should do. And I remember at the time I got into a huge fight with this guy in front of everyone at the table. And I was like, why do you fucking care? You don't even know me. You met me last week. What do you give a shit about what I do when I'm here? Like, what? And, it was one of those things where this is where confident as fuck and offense come in. I didn't accept it. I was like, that's bullshit. Why the hell do you care? It called him out on it. And you know what happened? His girlfriend had to apologize to me that night. The next day, she probably made him apologize. He came up and he was all apologetic. And I was like, why you judge me? Why you just, and again, it was like, maybe he saw me as some target that he mistakenly saw me for to bully, but it was very patronizing. And in a way, I kind of get it a little bit from their perspective, just like you and I would get it because we're outdoor people. So when I told you the story, you were like, yeah, fuck the films. I'd be out hiking and enjoying,
Mhm.
all the stuff. But yet, so it's just so interesting. It's happened to me, and
Well, and
also,
it happened on your side too, kind of like, why would, I mean, you didn't go attack anybody or, you were letting them, but you were still like, why would you sit around in a freaking theater all day when you could do this? And so I think, this is what I think.
yeah,
I think it roots down into survival instincts. I think it's primal instincts. We don't like it when people are different than us. That threatens our safety. Look at what we do. Who do we hang out with? We hang out with people who are just like us. And when somebody's way off in left field, it's like, ugh, there's something in us that's like, I don't want to be around that. Unless you evolve yourself into that place and start to welcome that into your life so you can have some more variety and
mhm.
evolution and more thought come to your mind. But when you were talking about food, I was really thinking, I was like, what, when does this start? And I thought about my kids in elementary school. And my son Kyle, who's 10, he's like a garbage disposal. He's like the healthiest eater. He loves healthy food and he will eat like anything. And he actually really enjoys healthy food. And he tells me at school, kids will be like, ew, how can you eat that? Ew, gross. And so we all remember that. And I think it does go back to that instinct of like, it threatens me somehow if you are different than me, because maybe that means I'm not okay. Maybe my preferences aren't okay. And this is where I kind of got into like, it's a little bit of insecurity too, right? If we can't evolve past this, being able to accept that other people just have different preferences than us and that's okay, it reflects a little bit of insecurity in our own selves, right? I think exactly what you were saying. As you become more confident, like in your book, you are able to more release what other people are doing because you're not dependent on approval. You're not dependent on anybody having to agree with you because you just know that you like what you like and that's okay.
Right, like it's hurting my preferences in that moment, maybe. But is it really hurting me? Is there any threat going on there just because
Right.
someone doesn't like herb salad or like vacations in a way we wouldn't, I mean, there's so many interesting areas of this, or people who might judge like maybe they're really good at finances, but they don't prioritize health, let's say. So they might judge you on that, but you're the one that works out all the time. There's a symbiotic thing there. You both have something the other one doesn't, and you're judging that other person for that thing, right? And
Yeah, and
we just do it a lot naturally.
I think it comes down to like it takes a more evolved person, a person who has done some work. It takes actual choice for when someone is different than you to take your ego down, to take your barriers down, and my way is the right way, and let me infiltrate that onto everybody else. It takes actual like personal evolution for to step that back for a second, especially if you're judging it as less than, right? Like your ego is all up in there and it's like this is not as good as the way I do life. Oh my gosh, it's really hard to take that down for a notch and be like, hold on, let me see if there's something to learn here. And I'll share a quick story. This mastermind that I'm in, Scott Duffy's Breakthrough Mastermind, these guys are like a lot of the personal development greats are in this mastermind. It's so cool. I'm like, they're just like, oh yeah, I was mentored by Zig Ziglar and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, it is so cool. Tell me everything and they're big time speakers. They've been speaking for, 30 years. And there's a guy named Dan Clark in there, and he was telling a story of, I forgot who the speaker was, or maybe someone was telling about him, but it was some huge, big time, long time speaker of personal development, like top cream of the crop. And they were telling the story about him. And they said they sat next to him and there was this like newbie personal development speaker speaking, right? And the person telling the story was like, I was like, like whatever, I know all this stuff. Like, nice try, dude. You're doing great. Like, keep trying kind of energy. And he said he looked over at the best speaker in the room who was going to be speaking that night, and he was feverishly writing down notes, like just so hungry, just so listening, so open. And I remember that story because anytime I get into the energy of like, I know better, my way's better, I'm more evolved, I'm more blah, 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 it's like ego alert. Turn it off. There's something for you to learn everywhere. So even if it's somebody who, you're the biggest health nut and they're obese and you're talking about health, there's something for you to learn in that conversation. And it goes with anything. And so I think this judgment that we have, of like being like, no, my way is the right way. Hold on, let me impose this on you. It's all ego, and it really, really limits us.
It's the same with like, you've tried everything with your mom for health. It didn't work. Like, sometimes these things don't work. We can try to help or try to encourage someone, and they don't work, and then we have to just accept how the way they're running their life, and
Oh
it's
yeah, it's just
really
basic
tough because I
respect.
think a lot of this is people trying to one of the reasons, if you're so in someone's like, she shouldn't be doing this, or da da da, and you're worried about this and you're in someone else's business, oftentimes it could be not just a preference judgment. It could be because you like think you're going to be able to save them from some pain they might experience if they don't break up with this guy, or if they don't do it in the way you would do it, or you're like, I already know that you should be not with this person, and why can't you see it, and it takes them to
Yeah.
everybody has their own fucking time as how they got to get. Sometimes you got to just let go and go, it may happen.
Yep.
No, I told you so. They have to get there first. I mean, I had a friend who was in a very abusive, not physically, but extremely abusive mental relationship that I was just like, oh my God, you know? But the truth is that, and at the end, she goes, you know what? I knew when you knew, and I knew what you were telling me was true, but clearly I just needed to have
Right.
it really play out to the very bitter end
Yep.
until I finally had the wherewithal to leave. So
Mhm.
no matter how
Mhm.
much you tell someone, even is a good way, or you really shouldn't do, then this is what really bothered me about COVID, which was people being like, "Just get healthy." That's like the shittiest, because yes, of course, yes, but you know what? Half these things are addictions, right? Like whether you're a smoker or whether you're obese and you're addicted to sugar, a lot of these are you just can't snap it and expect. And so it really bothered me. And of course, we both preach that, like, hey, get your vitamin D, be as healthy as you can, do your best to get an immune system. But if someone's 400 pounds and they're in this awful health situation, you're just going to be like, whatever, just get healthy, and then you want to have a
Hurry
problem.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, hurry up. I felt that that was very crass and very, like, missing the other elements that were reality about that true situation. It's just you don't stop drinking all of a sudden,
Well, I'll
like
tell you,
you're a drinker.
yeah, I'll tell you my a learning lesson I had with the whole like mask thing and COVID, because so my it's like both sides of it, honestly, because on the one hand, my position was, okay, like we have learned that two people don't need to be wearing the mask. It doesn't stick on surfaces. And it's like, so if you're wearing a mask, you're protected. So why do you, that I felt my rights were infiltrated on, because it was to each their own was not being allowed for me. Like, I'm like, I don't care if I get COVID. I am totally okay. And I did get COVID, and I'm totally, and it was fine. And I was willing to take that risk. I was personally rather
Important
would
difference. You
die,
were willing to take that
really,
risk.
literally
Coming.
would have, I would have rather died of COVID than have my rights trampled on like that. That's how I felt. Like, I was like, it's not, of course, I'm not a terrible person. If I really felt like other people needed me to protect them, for sure. But everything I was seeing was like, if they wear a mask, they're protected. So like, why do you have to make me wear one? That's, so I felt like to each their own wasn't being granted to me. Right. And so, but on the flip side, because I felt that way, here I am on social, like kind of like double finger, double bird to like, don't make me effing wear a mask when it doesn't make sense. Like, this pisses me off. And so I was vocal about it. And you know that, and we've talked about it many times because we stand on opposite side of the coin on
Totally
that.
differ on that. Yeah.
And, um, one of my best friends, she lives in LA too. I feel like everybody I know who lived in California had a very different perspective of COVID than I did here in Utah,
People had
totally
so many
different
different
worlds.
experiences and different
Yeah,
states. Like you guys had a totally different experience. So I understand why that would be annoying even to someone in a different state where it was like, yeah,
but here's what she said. We went on a girls trip to Tulum in February, and she was like really honest with me. She's like, I personally, like, I'm pro mask. And she's like, just letting you know, like, when you and our other friend, who is also she's more anti mask than I am, like, when you guys are like so at, adamant about the anti-mask, it makes me feel like I can't even talk to you. Like, I'm scared to even bring it up because I feel like you're gonna like drive it down my throat. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And she's like, I feel like you're not even willing to look at it from my point of view. And I was like, damn, that sucks. So I was like, okay, tell me your
good.
point
By the
of
way,
view.
right on for her for
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. That's why I surround my friend self with friends like that, And I was like, okay, tell me your point of view. And I'm like listening, listening, listening. And more like just empathy, just softness came in. I was like, okay, like some people are just freaking scared. They're just scared. And I get that. And just being more, it definitely made me, I didn't spread any more of those messages because I was like, it creates this big barrier. Because it was like everybody needs to
It
think
felt
like
judgy
me.
then after a minute instead of where it was coming from a different place. It might have turned into this kind of.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so it's funny because it was like because I felt like my rights were being trampled on, like it made me want to like retaliate back and be like, "Don't effing make me." But then that retaliation, it was like doing the same thing. It was like a full circle, because I'm like trying to push my stuff on other people while I feel stuff's being pushed on me. And it's like, man, that's not the way. It just creates all this divisiveness. So I really learned it's like just a softer approach of being open, and it doesn't mean I still stand by how I feel on that, but I'm not feeling the need to push it on anybody else. So yeah.
Right, or land-based anyone else for it, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, or any of
right.
that kind of stuff.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's just it's so interesting because I think we all look around, I mean, whatever it's like, if you're beyond a certain age and someone else is driving, you're gonna be like, "Ugh," judging their drive. It's almost, there's like, "I
Yeah.
wouldn't do it that way," or, I mean, it could be really anything about, simple stuff like how someone loads a dishwasher, you know?
Right.
It's like,
And
fucking
and
these
it's
little things can really make you just be like, "God, that is so." I had a conversation with my mom about that. I go, I like your Mrs. Advice on all this stuff, but the way I see you loading the dishwasher would drive me fucking nuts. Like, why are you putting the forks and the knives up?" And she's like, "Well, it is my dishwasher." And I go, "You're right. And you get to do whatever you want with your
and I
dishwasher.
think
And I'll load your dishwasher the way you like it." But again, even in these small moments, we look and we go, we shake our head versus just be like, "Well, who cares? It's the way they want to fucking do it."
Well, and I think when we shift into kindness and compassion, okay, like think of a toddler trying to throw a ball and they can't. We're not like, oh my gosh, like you suck at throwing. Why would you ever even try to throw it like that, 2-year old? You would never say that, right? And so it's like, oh, like if we can shift into that energy a little bit more of like, they're doing the best they can and they're doing it the way they want to and be kind and compassionate about it. But note to self, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do the dishwasher like this. But instead of shifting into this judgy, like I'm better than you energy, I feel like true confidence, true, being in a clear space with ourselves is going to be like, noted. I don't want to do it like that. I like it like this. No judgment. Good luck to you. Have fun loading your dishwasher like that. I'm going to do it like this, you
And
know?
it just does, excuse me one second. It just does bring peace of mind because again, it's like that judgment is yucky. It's in the other
Yep.
people's business and it just backfires on your own shit. It takes you
Totally.
down from a vibration. Like again, when I see the cyclist, it just fucked up. I allowed someone else's preference for a sport I don't like to fuck up my good vibe as I'm driving down a beautiful mountain road. And now all of a sudden now I'm in judgment.
Yeah.
Like, what a day ruiner, what a moment ruiner, like what? So again, it's like I think being in tune to these moments when we do it. And just again, it's not that we have to love it or even agree with it, but we just have to go, you know what? None of my business. And sorry.
This also brought to mind my whole like bodybuilding experience recently, and I've been really outspoken about like the
Yes, so
toxicity
glad
in
you are.
bodybuilding that I've seen, and it made me think on that. And it's like I definitely like if people want to bodybuild, go for it. But for me, like I do think it's important for us all to share personal experiences, but not in the way of like no one should ever bodybuild. It definitely like got me in that. So it's like I was thinking about the difference between sharing your own personal experience and let others take what they want from it versus like you shouldn't do this because blah blah blah, so this whole podcast brought that to mind for me, is like respect. It's really a respect issue. It's a basic respect. It's like I respect you to do whatever the freak you want. I will share my experiences with you. That doesn't have to be your experience. This whole conversation really got me into that energy. And one other thing it got me thinking about was like, I was in a relationship with that narcissist. Like, truly, I know he has narcissistic personality disorder. It's like doesn't miss a single thing from aliases to looking in the eyes too long and talking really fast and all the stuff. Like, he has all of them, all of them, all of them. And I did a podcast. I think it's actually coming out. It'll probably come out right before this episode on my Inside Out Health podcast. But I did one with a guy named Ryan Rose Evans on Instagram, and he was talking about how narcissism is also a trauma response. Right. So some of us go into codependent pleasers. He calls it fawn energy. And some people go into narcissism and control and manipulation and all of that. And I thought about that, and I'm like, to each their own. When he made a video confessing that he has manipulated women with psychedelics, including me, and all this stuff, I'm like, to each their own. I really thought about that, and I was like, well, if I try to get in his business and try to control it, it's just going to make me miserable. And as I've gone through the path of forgiveness with that whole thing, I've really just gotten to the point where it's like my energy is just, I hope you heal. I hope you heal from your shit. Let's all like, good luck to you. Like, and also I'm sorry, like the way you live brings so much misery and stress and broken relationships and all that. So like, damn, like I'm glad I'm not in that space, and good luck to you, And so I don't know. I've just kind of really adopted
Well,
that
yeah, I mean,
energy.
I think we're gonna. There's a certain moral, ethical baseline
Right.
we all have about things. So, certain criminal, weird, gaslighting,
Right.
like everyone's gonna be like, "That's shitty
That's not
behavior,"
okay. Yeah.
right? And I don't think it's like, "Oh, well, whatever," But here's the thing: the teach his own is literally like, well, if they're not hurting anyone, right? That's kind of the
Yeah.
underlying
Right.
nuance there, because when it starts to hurt people, then it becomes a problem. But
But also when it's outside of your control, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Let's say you see somebody quote unquote hurting somebody. Like I know some sleazy ass
I saw
marketers.
people beat child on public buses growing up in Chicago, and it killed me because I couldn't just grab the child out of the person's hand and they just slammed
Yeah.
it in front of
And
everyone on the bus.
it's not like we're permitting the behavior or approving of the behavior or anything like that, but it's like really asking yourself, like, are you responsible to do anything? And like, how long am I going to attach to this and like want to control it and change it and make it better? Like, that brings us into this powerless energy that can create all this mental fatigue of just going around in your mind. So it's like, yeah, do what you can, of course. You know what I mean? Like, I donate to help stop sex trafficking because that's important to me. And like, I'm doing what I can, but I can't sit there and just like swirl around in it all day of like, how am I going to stop this personally? Is like, do what you can and let the rest go. I think is kind of the healthiest space to be on that, but anyway, it brought all this is a great topic. It brought all sorts of things to my mind. But I think the biggest thing is like, man, gossip. Oh, anytime I find myself like caught up, I'm like, what am I doing right now? It started with me talking about a personal experience, and then now I'm like assessing the person, and I'm like, no, no, blah, blah, stop. What are you doing?
And
And
I think it's about like unmanaged gossip, because obviously, like, you need to call your friends and vent and have someone go, "You're not crazy. That was a shitty thing." All right, like you need
yeah,
to have some sort. We need that commiseration with another person, but the difference is with all of my friends, they would never let it go on beyond
same.
because then it's about, all right, well, how do we look at this differently? How do we, like get out of this vibe? Because they know what you and I know, and they do that kind of work.
Yeah.
But if you're calling someone that's just going to be willing to go on and on with you about it and like kind of fuel it, so it's one thing to just kind of get it out and then like, I'm feeling yucky because, and then now I need to. But I've mentioned stuff to you before, vice versa. And some of it could have been considered gossipy if it were about someone else. But again, it's not like I'm spreading it to talk shit so that you'll go out and tell people. We're not trying to, it's just, shit, I
I
got to
think the
talk.
difference
Yeah,
is you were trying to process your own emotional reaction to a triggering event, right?
right.
And like, where do
Versus
I land? And
threatening bullshit.
that's how it is with my friends too. Like, if something happens, we always end on the note of how do you show up in this situation? Like
Right.
where
What's your responsibility too?
exactly, what's your response to this? And like, wish them the best. That's just kind of my mantra. It's like, I wish you the best, and I'm not getting all tangled up into that. And the other thing I'd like to just say is, everybody at some point you're going to get a friend, or maybe you have some friends that they call you because you're like their bitch line, they're like, I just want to vent to you about this chick or this guy or blah, 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 blah. And you know what? I had somebody like that in my life, but they're not anymore because I cut off my freaking supply of compassion, I guess, because I was like, this is not healthy. Like, you're literally like, I am just a sounding board for you to bitch and complain to, and I'm not okay with that. So I stopped him dead in his tracks, and I was like, stop, listen, like, I am not the friend that you call to bitch about other people too. If that's what you want, you need to call someone else. If you want to talk about like your own, how you're showing up in this, I'm happy to hash that out with you, but I'm not going to just sit here and talk about that chick with you and talk about what a bitch she is. Like, I was straight up, and he didn't like it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, well, and guess what? Like,
How
that
much
person.
happier are you for it? You're not getting those calls.
Exactly.
And I had the same thing with a really good friend who I started to realize every time, and it was about like, she would tell me all this gossip about like people I don't even fucking know. Like, you know what I mean? And it was nothing about her involvement. It was just judgment. And I noticed
Yeah.
it over and over. So I started to be like, accept a call maybe once a week, not call back right away. Little fade up, still friends, but enough where it's, it. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not that person. They don't call me anymore about that. And
Yeah.
if
Set that
phone
boundary,
call goes that way with her in the future, I just kind of go, I turn it around or get out, or I gotta go because I won't engage in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
because guess those people, they're not even like being your friend. They're just using you to vent to. You know what I mean? So it's like, if the relationship starts to end when you cut that off, it wasn't a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, it was not a friendship, a true friendship. It was just, they're like, oh, here's somebody who will let me vent all my crap too. You know what I mean? And so, like, even with my really good friends that we text all the time, we set that precedent. Like, we talk about, we're like, okay, hold on, let's not go into that. We catch ourselves as going there, and those are the people that I want to surround myself with.
yes,
We're all checking ourselves and making sure we're not going into these toxic energies. And man, if you don't have those people in your life, freaking find them. Like, join a personal development course or something where that's more of your tribe. My friends, they don't even live in Utah. I live in Utah. They live in Washington, LA, Austin. Like, we meet up and we go do things. Elle's my friend. You're in California. Like, my friends are not here, and most of them I've got like a couple, but you can find those friends, and I found them through professional development, health, biohacking,
yeah,
optimization. I
yeah.
found my tribe, and it's so much. I'd rather have friends that live out of state that I'm texting regularly that are high vibe than just take whatever I can get locally that brings my vibe down. So I think it's important on this, to each their own. Make sure the people around you have that kind of energy too.
Yeah, and I guess just challenge yourself out there to think about like, have you been in other people's business lately? What's it about? What is it about? And also,
Yeah.
whatever you're judging them about, could they possibly be judging something about your life that you're in denial about? So let's say you're judging someone about their health and eating, but like you're secretly like bulimic, or you're like doing something also
Yeah.
some people consider bad. Often we do point that finger when it's
Uh-huh.
pointing back at us. So I think that that's the time to get real. And once you realize that, you go, yeah, why am I judging? They would judge me for X, Y, and Z. And I can clearly see how they would, but somehow I forgot that when I
Yep.
decided to judge them.
And you're exactly right. If you are in the energy of self-judgment, which I find most of us don't even realize, it has become such a way of being for most people that they don't even realize they're in self-judgment. But self-judgment is like, if you screw up, are you hard on yourself? If you don't look a certain way, are you hard on yourself? That's self-judgment. And the more self-judgment that we have, the more we will do it to other people, because it's our way of being.
Good
It's just
point.
this is natural, is like, you screwed up, get judged, because you do that to yourself. You're not doing good enough in life, get judged. You didn't eat healthy, get judged, because you're doing that to yourself. You know what I mean? So as we work on our own internal allowance, compassion, embracing ourselves and being kinder to ourselves, that starts to fall away more and more.
Absolutely. And the last thing I would say is, you mentioned earlier, we were saying like, I just hope that person heals. I one time had a situation like that, and I was talking to my coach, and I said, well, I just hope that they become more positive person, because they were really negative. And I was like, I just hope. And he goes, nope, actually, and I kind of like this. He was like, actually, no, I wouldn't hope for that. You just hope the person is happy, because clearly that guy doing all that stuff, we know he's not happy.
Yeah.
We know he just can't possibly be at a certain point, right? It falls upon you. And so maybe you can just wish that to people. Like, I
Yeah.
just hope they're happy. Or if they're in trauma, like, I hope they heal and they're happy. That's all we can really hope and wish for people, is that they're happy. And
Yeah.
what they might consider happy for them may not be what makes us happy, but at least they
Hmm.
are, right?
Yeah. It's
Probably
just
the best
basic.
wish you can give someone.
Yep. And it brings you back into peace. And now you don't have to worry about it anymore because you shouldn't be worrying about it anyway, because it's none of your freaking business, you know? So, yeah. All right. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Come find us on Facebook. It's Kick-Ass Life Podcast is the name of our group. Our website is kickasslifepodcast.com. We got all of our episodes on there. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't watch us on YouTube. And
Also
then
want to throw out, got 2 courses. I know, well, TaraGarrison.com, all of her courses, and also awesome like Bikini Bonnie and all these things you can just buy and go run away with and go
and my one-on-one coaching higher.
Yeah, all the higher program. And I'm doing 2 courses, the writing program and also a confidence course. So you can just go to elleruss.com. You'll see a tab, click on that if you guys are interested. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys.